Hi everyone, my name is Tina Baramakian. I'm a doctoral student at California Intercontinental University. Today I'll be presenting the International Strategic Management, the case of Sony Ericsson. This is a requirement for Management 618 International Business course. So International Strategic Management is a thorough continuing management planning process that helps firms compete globally. It develops worldwide strategies, which are the comprehensive frameworks for attaining a business's core objectives. So conceptually developing a single country and multi-country strategy are comparable. However, determining which markets to enter is very vital for international strategy. To make this decision, a corporation must analyze market potential, competition, legal, political, and societal aspects. Each prospective market must be evaluated for cost, benefits, and risks. And after assessing potential foreign needs and growing international, a company must decide how to enter and compete in those markets. So, in the global world in which we operate and given the splendor of international trade, it is essential to think about strategic partnership. Establishing a wide network of cooperative contacts is a crucial component of strategic management. If a corporation wants to achieve exceptional business results, it should form strategic alliances and use the potential, resources, talents, and strengths of other businesses to develop its own business plans. So, what are some advantages of international strategy? So, although local and international strategies share many similarities, multinational enterprises can access additional competitive advantages not available to domestic firms. These are the global efficiencies. International firms can increase their efficiency in various ways unavailable to domestic. So they can exploit location efficiencies by situating their facilities anywhere in the world that delivers lowers production or distribution costs, or increase the quality of the service. They can diversify their products offerings in each country they enter. Multinational corporations can benefit from economies of scope, reducing their manufacturing and marketing expenses. And they can also have an advantage of being multinational, the adaptability of being multinational. So, as mentioned earlier, the political, economic, legal, and cultural settings of countries, they vary. And then international businesses face the task of adapting to numerous settings. But unlike the domestic firms, which operate in and respond to a change in a single environment, they also respond to a change in one country by implementing a change in another country. So this is an advantage. And last is the global worldwide education, is the learning process that they go through. So multinational businesses, they whatever they learn in their setup contributes to other countries, contributes to their general information and knowledge in the business. So despite the advantages, there are also some challenges and complexity in going international. So international strategy, it's more sophisticated, it's more complex. Managers of domestic firms, unlike the international managers, they must cope with a single national government, currency, accounting system, language, culture. But this is different for an international manager. Who also needs to work on top of all those things, needs to work on a different time zone, different cultural context, and economic conditions. So when we look into the complexity or the challenges, we can see that there are some related to economical conditions like exchange rate fluctuation, tariffs, some related to cultural integration because they're dealing with suppliers, employees, shareholders, partners, as we said, at a different time zone and cultural context. Some challenges are related to unfamiliar local governments and legal system. Some are related to the environment that they are operating, which might be unstable due to many conditions. And last, they are dealing with customers of various needs and preferences and cultural contexts. The case which was selected was for Ericsson. Ericsson company was created in 1876 by Lars Ericsson. They started the production of phones in anticipation of technological advancement, and they have really done very good, becoming one of the big three in mobile device manufacturing in 90s. But then when the millennium came, their financial struggle came along too. In 2001, Ericsson sales fell by 52%, resulting in 1.39 billion deficit, which led to announcement that 20% of their workers would be laid off. Ericsson was losing market, losing market to the competitors like Nokia, Motorola, and subsequently to Siemens. So this decline was attributed by analysts to Ericsson's stagnating phone designs, lengthy time to market, and inability to anticipate market shift. So if a company decides to step in a foreign market, he needs to conduct an assessment. Before doing this assessment, before entering the market, he needs to look into cost, whether it's direct and opportunity cost. He needs to look into benefits, whether market sales and profits are among the most evidence in this. So they have to look into competitors, they have to look into access to new technology, opportunity to achieve synergy with other operations. And last, company needs to look into risks of entering a new market, looking into, as mentioned earlier, exchange rate fluctuation, greater operating complexity, direct financial losses. All those are important factors to look into before entering any new market. So why did Ericsson think of going international? So what was the benefits for Ericsson? So three strategic significant decisions were made by Ericsson, and one was to identify a partner who could contribute consumer product know-how and expertise to supplement Ericsson's technological capabilities. Second was to prioritize the top end of the market, more expensive and therefore more profitable models over the mass market. And third was to prioritize product development and as a result outsource the actual production to subcontractors. Among Ericsson's international expansion was the strategic alliance with Sony. Sony Ericsson Mobile Communication, headquartered in London and owned equally by Ericsson and Sony, and they began the operation in 2001. Even though Ericsson sold 43 million mobile phones and Sony only 7 million the year before, the two businesses had comparable interest. At the time of its founding, Sony Ericsson employed 3,000 Ericsson personnel and 1,000 Sony employees. So it was also noted by the numbers that Sony Ericsson's sales have grown steadily over the years that they went into the joint venture. 42 million in 2005, then it went to 74 million in 2006, reaching up to 103.5 million in 2007. They had a synergy. Ericsson used Sony's marketing expertise to drive, they used Sony's marketing expertise to drive the sales. In telecom infrastructure, Ericsson used its engineering high-tech handsets. So this was a great joint venture bringing both parties' expertise to the market. Globalization can be expensive when company must coordinate research and development, production, distribution, marketing, and financial decisions globally. A company may lack the internal resources to compete internationally. Research and development may strain its budget, so a company might seek a partner to share cost. On the other hand, a company might create new technology but lack distribution or production facilities, internationally or nationally. So to thrive in today's global marketplace, organization must be able to prompt exploit opportunities and adjust to home and international market changes. So what is a joint venture? A joint venture is a type of strategic collaboration in which two or more enterprises form a new legally independent corporate entity. So it's utilized for usually complex long-term strategic alliances. It's a business tool, especially international tools for conquering new markets. As a concept, it's flexible and ready to adapt to the type of business as required. It boosts innovation, it shares risks, and promotes world development. So the issue of competition also help to better coordinate the efforts, particularly for foreign authorities in global decision-making process. So a business may seek other businesses or companies with complementary expertise or advantages and negotiate partnerships. Strategic alliances are growing in significance in many industries, especially when an organization needs or wants to compete globally. So strategic alliance can assist a business in gaining access to new or existing products or services. So if the alliance is successful, the value created is larger than if the company had functioned separately, improving its market. So what are the advantages of a joint venture? The strategic alliance is cooperation that aspires for synergy, with each participant hoping for greater benefits than individual efforts. So international joint venture give fast and less expensive entry to overseas markets than buying an existing company or beginning a new businesses. It also involves organizations sharing resources and talents to co-develop and distribute goods or services. They often involve technology transfer, shared expenses, and especially shared risks. It also gives non-resident partners immediate access to the distribution channel and local market experience, which boosts the venture's chances of success. So the resident partner often has a crucial supplier and customer relationship and the full understanding of the local language and customs. On the other hand, joint ventures can also have disadvantages. Without effective planning and strategy, it might fail. Market trends, technology challenges and changes, regulatory concerns, economic downturns can all impact a venture. This on top of differences in cultures, which makes it more challenging than a domestic one. So strategic alliances, they might have some common pitfalls. And these are many organizations do not develop a clear joint strategy with their partners. The financial part of the transaction might receive unequal emphasis at the expense of strategy and implementation. In some situations, lack of ongoing commitment can be a reason to finish or derail from the joint venture. And then last can be a collaboration with competitors. It might necessitate very special consideration, which might have been missed by both parties. Sony and Ericsson, they partnered in 2001. The venture's major purpose was to enter each other's complementary market niche. Sony's mobile phone industry was failing despite of its success in electronics. Diversifying their offerings and entering the mobile phone industry drove this venture for Sony. On the other hand, Ericsson was losing money on mobile phones despite its well-known brand and huge market reach. So Sony and Ericsson agreed to combine their skills to create mobile phones. The arrangement effectively ended each company's production on mobile phones. The joint venture allowed also the two companies to create economies of scale, worldwide consumer reach, purchasing power, and capital investment resource essential to face international competitiveness. The venture's declining profitability in the last 5 years but raised a concern. That's why in 2008, Sony's CEO criticized the joint venture structure and culture. Initially, the company's branded mobile phone performed well, but rising competition from music phones has hurt its market performance. Sony eventually bought out its Swedish partner for 1.05 billion in 2011 to compete with Apple and Samsung. An interesting concept in international business is the cultural complexity and cultural competence. Diverse businesses from various cultural backgrounds collaborate to use one another's strength. However, sometimes the cultural differences are so profound that the venture will fail. So the major reason for joint venture failures is due to cultural incompatibility between partners, and this is highly evident in literature. So what was the cultural impact of joint venture on Sony Ericsson? So it was anticipated that Sony Ericsson would get major synergy benefits from the joint venture. However, in these circumstances, the two market titans' management capability and other resources did not match. So the greatest harm was caused by the cultural mismatch between the two organizations, in addition to market competitiveness and poor supply chain management. So the contrast between the two parent companies was enormous. Sony is Japanese while Ericsson is Swedish. Cultural differences between Sony and Ericsson were expected, as we mentioned earlier, but the severe cultural shock in this case hurt the output. So this resulted in delayed decisions, ineffective communication, and very poor performance. In Japanese society, groupism is ingrained. Hence, corporation aims are often prioritized over individual aspirations. While Ericsson was bureaucratic and decentralized with defined functional divisions, Sony Ericsson's management style clashed with its output. Top-down planning was used, but conflicts caused trust concerns between management. As a result, decisions needed lengthy negotiations between groups and departments, delaying reaction to market developments and competitive dynamics. So, joint venture partners from various cultures have more communication and coordination issues. Sony Ericsson's culture is like Ericsson's when compared. Both companies were in Europe and their national cultures are similar. So Sony Ericsson's high proportion of Swedish personnel was another similarity to Ericsson. So Sony Ericsson's culture is likely affected by the parent companies and the country's culture. So in conclusion, we can infer that an international joint venture's corporate culture has the cultural strengths of both parent companies and resembles the national culture, especially when the parents are from different nations. As a conclusion, we can see that a primary goal of strategic alliance is to reduce risk while increasing profit. Managers must understand the management strategies and procedures that enable them to improve the work of their partnership, capitalize on potential advantages, and overcome potential downsides. And last, it is critical to resolve any cultural differences in business while forming strategic relationship with multinational companies. Thank you very much.